Hi, I'm Jonathan Ortmans, and I'm president of the Global Entrepreneurship Network, and very excited to be declaring Global Entrepreneurship Week 2020 is live and open. Thank you so much for joining us with this year's campaign. It's incredibly important. You expect to be part of 10 million people across the globe from 180 nations who will be celebrating the entrepreneurial spirit. We will be seeing a wide range of themes and discussions, ranging from how do we build healthier entrepreneurial ecosystems and build strong startup communities with hundreds of what we call startup huddles happening across the planet. We're also going to be seeing a wide range of educators, which at this time also involves many of us parents too, in addition to teachers, who are getting their young and getting students involved in trying to understand what it takes to be an entrepreneur. The very notion of ideation, the notion that it's conducting experiment, it's about figuring out better ways of doing things, and it's not all about marketing and spreadsheets. And we'll be seeing a significant amount of discussion happening around public policy. We have a wide number of heads of state and ministers and policymakers participating in everything from demo days to policy hacks into a wide range of discussions around how do we have a smarter strategy, or as we put it in the United States, America's new business plan as an example. How do we figure out how does government be smarter in removing the barriers to entrepreneurship and making it easier for anyone in their country to move forward who has an idea, wants to test it, and wants to start or scale a company. An amazingly exciting week of activities, and it's coming at an extraordinarily important time. So why is this called Global Entrepreneurship Week rather than just Entrepreneurship Week? Of course, it's made up of thousands of communities where the existing leaders of those entrepreneurship communities, the ecosystems, have come together and said, how do we figure out ways to get more of our citizens to consider the path of entrepreneurship? That's what this is about. We've come together with those who are already doing this year round and said, how do we make that possible? Things like the I'm an Entrepreneur videos will help more citizens to look at existing narratives of entrepreneurs and see, maybe I might just see myself in that story. Maybe it's actually something that could be part of my future. The world needs more entrepreneurs, and that's our mission this week, which is to inspire more of our citizens, to light the candles in more of the hearts and minds and souls of our citizens, to consider being a starter, to consider being a risk taker, to consider the idea of making, doing, or creating something new as a problem solver. And of course, this is especially important at this time. You know, this pandemic was tailor-made for a global response, but it didn't get one. If anything, we've seen more division among our somewhat nationalist nations right now. We've seen big challenges faced for every human being on the planet. And in a way, the coronavirus was a common enemy to us all, but we didn't really have a common response. And so as we embark upon this next journey of rebuilding our economies and regenerating these lost jobs, we have to ask ourselves, first of all, are we bigger than the sum of the parts as a collection of economies around the world? Or is this something we should do locally again? And of course, one of the missions of Global Entrepreneurship Week is to allow us to reach across borders. We know that these national borders are just as porous to ideas as they have been to this virus, and to allow us to figure out how do we pool our resources, how do we help each other, how do we get our best and brightest and smartest ideas on the planet to be able to find new ways of doing things and to help us to rebuild our economies better. You know, entrepreneurs are perfectly suited to this task. They're used to, quote, disrupting industries. They're used to uncertainty. They're used to this notion of there's nothing that we can predict. And most of all, they actually have fun and sometimes thrive on this environment where many of the rest of us, quite frankly, find it very discouraging and sometimes a little frightening. And so we should look to our entrepreneurs as our leaders in this next phase of a post-pandemic world. We should shed the spotlights on our startups as vehicles to finding solutions to the big challenges that we now face. And for our startups and entrepreneurs, it is indeed an opportunity because there's been a wide number of opinions and consumer behaviors and what people are comfortable with and not comfortable with changing. And as a result, there are new opportunities that didn't exist a year ago. So we hope with this great celebration of the pioneering, entrepreneurial, innovative spirit that exists in all of our countries, that we can reach out this week, that we can come together and find ways to shed the spotlight on some of the great ingenuity in our communities, and that we can find a way to inspire more of our neighbors, of our communities, of our families to just ask themselves that question. Is it possible that at some point in the future, I might be part of a team that could be birthing the new, figuring out a better way of doing something? And at the end of the day, understanding that entrepreneurship is not something of narrow commercial significance. It's just something that represents the possibility of what we can do as human beings when faced with challenges. So thank you for letting me join you for a few minutes. I'm sorry I couldn't be there this year live for obvious reasons. And I want to wish everyone not just a successful Global Entrepreneurship Week, but I hope that you will have fun too, and that you'll walk away from this with maybe a new insight, maybe a new thought about how you can be part of the solution to this big challenge we face in 2021 of rebuilding our economies and coming back in a more sustainable, equitable, and prosperous global economy. Thank you very much. Happy Global Entrepreneurship Week.